Konnichiwa, minasan, mikufan USA desu. I'm mainly making this video because I am so hontou ni ikaru desu. I'm mainly making this video for my friends in Japan. Ohayo gozaimasu when you get this. But I'm very frustrated and quite angry about all these videos that are coming out talking about how the visa application process is so simple and high, fast and easy and no problem at all. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. The Japanese visa process is quite slow and quite cumbersome, and it has taken me about 2.5 weeks to get all the paperwork together for the visa. Let me just go through some of these because most people don't understand that right now Japan is effectively still closed, even though they're announcing that they're open for business, they're open for tourists to come, but that's with significant caveats to that. Number one being that the tourists who come have to join tourist groups and be approved for oversight by tour agencies and a tour guide at all times. This has created feeling by most of us gaijin who want to come back to Japan again, a feeling of forget it, we do not want to be babysat, we don't want to be watched over like North Korea or China, thank you very much. I have visited Japan 5 times since 2017 and have stayed there over Ichi-san 120 Nichi. I've stayed in Japan in those 5 trips. So I'm not a newcomer to Japan. I'm also not a newcomer to Japanese bureaucracy. But the visa process is touted by the Japanese government right now as being open and accessible and easy. And I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm not a 20-year-old person. And I'm also not a newcomer to Japan or its bureaucracy. I've always known that Japan loves daisuki paperwork. They love to do paperwork and hanko seals and everything. And I roll with that. I have no problem with that. That's just the Japanese culture that I'm used to. But this visa process has me floundering. So with that, I want to just say that I want to come back to Japan. Nihon ikimasu, masu gambatte ne. But I'm having a terrible time coming down to the wire here in the next 2 weeks. And I'll get to that in a second. So I wanted to put this video out just for my own sanity, if anything, and go through some of the actual visa process of what I've had to jump through just to obtain the right to apply for a visa, of which I have not received an answer yes or no back yet. So we'll get to that. But the bottom line is right now there are basically 3 or 4 kinds of visas available in Japan. One is a business visa, where you have a company like Honda or Toyota or Canon basically vouch for you. And this also applies for the tourist agencies. So if you have a tourist agency like HIS or some of the other big tourist agencies who are doing these guided tours, you can apply for a business visa. That's a relatively easy process, and I have friends who are business Japanese salarymen over there, but I didn't want to lie on my visa application. So I'm telling the truth. So I did not apply for a business visa. The second kind of visa is if you are a Japanese national and visiting a Japanese national. So, for instance, a relative who lives in America can go back to Japan now under a different visa as a Japanese national. That's Daijobu too. And then the third type of visa is for the tourist visa. And that is through a specific tourist agency. And here again, fairly easy because the tourist agency does a lot of the visa paperwork for you. I am applying for a slightly more unusual one because I'm telling the truth. I'm meeting a person for a special event who resides in Japan. One of my friends' son is getting married in the middle of September and has invited me to attend his wedding, as well as his big party in Tokyo beforehand. So I'm going back to hopefully, ganbatte, make Magical Mirai at the end of, or at the beginning of September, and then also attend this wedding. And then I head down to Sagaken in Kyushu to help another group of friends that I know really well in their Gohan harvest right around Kashimashi. So I'm hopeful that I can get to the mountains around Urashino-shi, that area where the Gohan rice harvest is happening. So that is also a request by my friends who really need help. So I put that on my visa as they need me. So, and they want me to come to the wedding, and I think it's ridiculous that I'm having to jump through so many hoops. And let me just walk through the hoops that I've had to jump through. This is a copy of all the documentation that I had to submit with my visa. Believe it or not, it's about 45 pages of documents, all double-sided and all extensively written out and requiring attention from me. Like I said, just to get the visa application done took me about 2.5 weeks. Let me go through some of these things that the Japanese government is making me submit to them for the visa application, which I had to submit all of this down to the consulate office in Chicago. Now, just on the side, I don't think even these consulate offices know what they're doing, because I accessed the consulate office documentation in Los Angeles, Japanese consulate office, as well as the consulate office in Chicago, which is near my home. And the two sets of documents required are different from each other. In other words, the requirements for American gaijin to apply for a visa in Los Angeles is different than the documentation that I had to submit through Chicago. And, I think the actual consulate offices don't even know what Japan government wants in terms of tourism or not either. So it is beyond frustrating with me. As a businessman, as a president of a company, I have never been this frustrated. So let me just go through the paperwork, just so you can commiserate with me and maybe put in a note, I'm sorry that you had to do all this paperwork. But okay, so first I needed to submit, and this is all sent down to Chicago, my actual passport. So you need a passport and you need 2 pages free for the visa. I had that, but let me tell you, sending your passport in the mail, in the US mail, is shinpai desu. With boku wa shinpai desu. Deshita, because it's already sent. I was super nervous about sending my passport in the US post office mail. So I sent it priority next day mail, which has a tracking number and insurance. I would only recommend that. So passport, number 1. Then there's an application procedure document that I followed, and this is called the revised visa application procedure. It is 12 pages long. 12 pages. Junie pages long. All very small print. And this is just to apply to the visa for Japan. So that's the first document to look at and follow. Then you drill down for your specific visa that you're applying for. And the visa that I'm applying for had another 7 pages, Hichi pages of documentation that I had to follow for my specific visa application that I'm doing. Okay. Once you get through all of those and understand what visa you're applying for and the paperwork that's required, then you go into the actual physical requirements of what paperwork you need. So you need a completed visa application. Okay? So the visa application is PDF. They had it on PDF, and you can type out. It's a fill-outable form PDF for the visa application. But unusual things that it asks you is, when is your airfare? When is your airplane landing? What addresses of hotels and people you are staying with for your entire duration of your trip? This is on the visa application. When you were in Japan in the past, your current address, what you do for a living, obviously your passport information, and then interesting, on the top of page 2 of the visa is you need to provide a guarantor or reference of a person in Japan. So right on the visa application, they require you to have someone in Japan who's willing to vouch for you. That's what a guarantor is. Someone who is actually going to help you if you need help. So you better have a friend over there, or many friends. Otherwise, you're not getting this visa. Then also an inviter. You need a second person who is your inviter in Japan. Please write, same as above, if the same person is your guarantor as well. And what they do, where they live, how you know them. Okay, then all kinds of stock questions, as you would expect on a visa, if you've ever been imprisoned, or if you've ever committed a crime, or if you've ever been sentenced for marijuana or narcotic use. Pretty standard questions on a visa. Okay, that's the visa application. That's number 1 after the passport. Then you need a passport size photograph that goes with the visa. So that's attached to the visa itself right there. So I had to go get a new passport photo taken. So I got a new passport photo taken for this. So that's money. Then, interesting, the next item you need is your flight itinerary and reservation information. What that means is that you need to purchase your ticket, your airline ticket, before applying for the visa. Because it says, flight reservation itinerary must be issued by a travel agency or airline company in English or Japanese under visa applicant's name. So what they're basically saying is you need to buy an airline ticket before you even know that you're going to get the visa. I mean, that's truly insane to me. So I had to provide them with my Air Canada information for my visa, for my flight. Then the next thing, hotel reservations. Hotel reservation must be issued by a hotel or travel agency under your name. Hotel reservations must cover your entire stay, and that's underlined, in Japan. So what you have to do is also provide them with where you're staying for your whole trip. So you have to get reservations. So of course I went through the process of submitting them a lot of my Expedia Hotel reservations. I chose Expedia only because I can cancel if I have to, if I don't get this visa. So you need to have hotel reservations when you apply to the visa. Okay then. Next is schedule of stay document. Describe day-to-day detailed activity plan in Japan. If you're traveling with someone, please describe all travelers' names on the form. So they require me to put all of the dates and times and where I'm staying for my entire length of time. This is for the visa. We're talking the visa here. Yeah, so I just wrote assist rice farmer with harvest and Urashinoshi. That, I mean, because I have his address, but that's it. What else am I supposed to write? That's my activity. I'm going to be helping harvest rice, Gohan. So, God. Okay then. The next item. Your most recent bank statement. As in bank statement. Bank statement must be issued by the bank in the U.S. under your name and current address. Yeah, a bank statement they require for the visa application. Right. Next thing. This just killed me. The reason for invitation form. The form must be addressed to the Consulate General of the Consulate General of Japan in Chicago. State the purpose of entry in detail to explain activities planned in Japan. Describe specific activities instead of vague references such as visiting or meeting. In the column for an inviting person, be sure to specify the address, his or her full name, and their phone number. And please set the seal or signature on this form. Write the full name of an applicant using the alphabetic characters. Photocopy is not acceptable. So, what that means is that I needed to get one of my friends, thank God she's a great friend in Japan, to provide me with a letter of reason for invitation form in Eigo that has her Hanko and her signature down at the bottom. Now this took me about 3 weeks to receive, because she has to hard mail it. No original signature and original Hanko seal needed. Are you starting to understand that why there's only been 125 visas that have been granted to non-business related and non-student visas since June 1st? 125? Good God. So, of course, there's not enough room on this document for purpose of invitation, background of invitation, and relationship with visa applicant. There's not enough room there to type. So, of course, I put out a lovely 3-page document that explains why I'm going to Japan. So, wow. Yeah, attend a wedding. Attend a wedding in Hiroshima. Okay. Harvest Gohan in Sagaken. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely beyond ridiculous. Next thing. This also killed me. Proof of relationship between visa applicant and the inviting person. So you have to prove that you know this person. And not only do you know them, but you have a long-term relationship with them. So, if you're a visiting family member, a birth certificate is fine, marriage certificate is fine. If you're visiting an acquaintance, photographs taken together, Zoom chats taken together, telephone records done together. Yeah, okay. So I put together about a 10-page document showing photos of all of the relationship I had with these families. So yeah, I know these families, they're friends of mine, and I have photos of them because you know me by now, I take photos and videos. So I provided them with about 10 pages of photos saying, yeah, I know these people really well. So go with it. Next thing I need. Proof by inviting person their current address in Japan. This means if you're to prove that these are real people in Japan that I know, that they're actually living in Japan, I need them, my Japanese friends, Nihonji friends, to provide to me a certified copy of a residence certificate called a Juminhyo, issued by a local city hall in Japan, and a copy of an ID such as a passport or driver's license. I did this for my friend. They did this. They sent me their Juminhyos to provide to them, all certified with Hanko seals by their government seals. My point is this kind of stuff takes a month or more to receive from Japan. At least a month, if not more. And you have to know these people, and they have to trust you because they're also sending me copies of their IDs or passports. So I have 2 sets of these from the 2 friend groups that I'm staying with. Are you starting to understand how difficult it is to get into Japan right now? Does it start to sink in? If anybody is actually watching this thinking that you're going to get to Japan, ganbatte. Because you're going to need ganbatte, so will I. I mean, my head just blows up here. Oh, we're not done yet. Proof of U.S. immigration status. Well, I'm a U.S. citizen and they have my passport. Passport or visa of clearance from the country that you were invited to attend after Japan. Well, I don't need that because I'm only going to Japan. Then a completed questionnaire form for coronavirus, kind of stock, you just sign, it's a pledge. Then another written pledge. This was written out stating it's basically as the inviting person of the visa applicant. This is written pledge by the person in Japan certifying that they're going to watch over me and make sure I wear my mask at all times and am safe as a gaijin in Japan. So I actually did not have them do this. I signed it as a pledge to myself. But I have to comply with the laws and regulations related to border measure systems, the Quarantine Act, the Act on the Preservation of Infectious Diseases, and medical care for patients with infected diseases, and Immigration Control and Refugee Recognition Act. It's just this huge, long document. Then I needed to fill out a questionnaire based on the provisions of Article 12 of the Quarantine Act and written pledge based on Article 6. Okay, so it just shut down. I don't exactly know why, but the bottom line is this release of liability says that if they lose my passport and my visa application, I will not hold them liable for that. So that is it. I put it all in a big envelope from the U.S. Post Office, next day aired, and sent all this down to them about a week ago. So my airfare is in about 2 weeks from now, and if I don't hear back from them, I'm screwed, basically. That's the way to put it. So that summarizes just the visa portion. That is not all that you need to do to get into Japan. So that's a whole nother process that once I get the visa, then I have to do a PCR, full-blown PCR test within 72 hours before flying. And then there's a whole bunch of, there's 2 apps on your phone that is required. One is a mySOS app, which is basically a Corona app for gaining admission into Japan. But you also sign a pledge saying that they're going to track your phone everywhere you go in Japan. So you have to admit that, yep, they're going to be watching me like a hawk as a gaijin as I travel to Hiroshima and Sagaken and potentially magical Mirai. So all of these things are beyond, then you have to get private insurance, medical insurance, because the Japanese government is saying that they're not going to cover you in any way if you get coronavirus and have to go into a hospital. It's on you. So they need proof of medical insurance. And then a couple other, you have to sign another form that goes into mySOS saying that you have been tested with a PCR test, and then you have to get the doctor to approve it, and then you submit this into mySOS, and it turns green color from red, and then you're good to enter. So the long and the story short is I've been looking at all these videos saying, you know, on YouTube that are saying, oh, come back to Japan, it's easy, come back. If you are a student under a student visa, daijobu, it's fairly easy because you're a student. If you're a businessman and you have a business relationship in Japan, that's daijobu, fairly easy. Muzukashi janai. But really, and if you're a tourist willing to jump through all these hoops and then be watched over like I hate to put it this way, but like North Korea or China, by a guiding person who watches over a small group of 4 people, and you can only go to certain areas and do certain things, izakaya janai, walking freely janai, then you could get a tourist visa. So the tourist visas, again, approximately as of Nikkei newspaper, only 125 tourist visas have been applied for and granted since June 1st. That's 2.5 months of time. So the simple and only 8,000 total visas since June 1st. 8,000. And to put that into perspective, I look back in 2019. Do you have any idea how many people came to Japan through Narita and Haneda in 2019 per day? 8,300 people came through those airports every day in 2019. And now there's only been 8,000 visas applied for and granted. That's student visas, business visas, and tourist visas since June 1st. 8,000. So you do the math on this. You think they're open? Good luck. That's all I can say, because I have run the gambit, and I give my likelihood. I mean, I'm not a gambling man, but if I gambled, I would probably give my chance of actually going to Japan in 2022. I would give it 5 to 10%. And it all comes down to this visa. And they've been sitting on my visa now in Chicago for over a week. And I'm supposedly on a plane in less than 2 weeks from now. Yeah, do the math. So I'm not too optimistic, but I'm always watashi wa kibo desu. I always hope. I live on hope and dreams. Yume to kibo desu. So I always hope, but because I miss all you Nihonji friends, I miss you guys a lot. So I hope that one day I can come back to Japan as soon as possible, and I will sign any pledge that says I will follow every rule and every etiquette known to mankind to be there. So I'll wear my mask everywhere. I'll never take it off. And, you know, what else can I say? Okay, sorry to vent. Nobody's going to watch this video anyway, but all I can say is, Ganbatte, Steven-san. Yeah, because that's all I have right now. So it's been good to talk to you. And for my Japanese friends, yeah, good luck. Have fun. I hope to see you soon. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. So, mata ne.